are going to be covering some of the newer updates and changes that they've made, because there are some things that I find of difficult to explain, because without having a lot of, well, details to the matter, it seems that some of the recent updates for the changes to some of their rerun, what you want to call it there, I'm trying to think of the words, expeditions. So let me just pull up something for that real quick. So these, they have been rerunning some of the older ones, like last I knew, they had just finished rerunning 18 and started to rerun 19, which as you can see I've already completed 18 through 13 on this end, and these I have completed at one point, but I started them a second time round and couldn't finish them because of the time that was elapsed between that and my personal life. But there are some of them that they haven't rerun since, like for example 7 through 11, they haven't rerun. They've only been basically rerunning from here to here. But if they're gonna rerun all of them, which they should be doing, why do they keep jumping back from 14 to 20 instead of doing it 1 through say like 5 and then jump to the newer ones, then jump back from like say 6 through 10, maybe even 12 at a time or two now and then? Because this just kind of like giant block of missing things is, well, ridiculous. It makes trying to get anything done about completing those extremely painful and excruciating. Especially for those of us who may be regular players at times, but also those of us who have new chapters in our lives beginning. It makes it so inadequate and difficult to finish those. Excuse me. Some of these expeditions that they're rerunning, they've also changed. So, for example, they are currently running this one again. Not this one. They finished this one. But these ones that they've just finished or are just running now are constantly being changed, rewritten, re-updated, and it's just kind of foolish. Ugh. Sorry, I'm coming off of some sinus pressures and issues. Anyway, but as you can see, this is what happens when you rerun one and you don't finish it. You lose access to all of the items and the things in those areas, or those expeditions, because if they're not finished when the timer runs out, it boots you completely out of them, and it doesn't give you any credit for the stuff that you finished, or even if you've previously finished them. It just completely blackens it out and gives you access to nothing. But the ones you do complete, you get everything for, which ultimately is kind of foolish, because in truth, this is what they look like if you haven't started them. This is what it looks like if you've completed them once and tried to rerun them again just for the sake of it. But you didn't finish the second run through, so it just kind of grays it out and leaves you with nothing. Anything you've thrown into this as well, say you put like I have dozens upon dozens of items that I could throw into it to make my progress that much quicker, but anything you put into it, you don't get out either. Especially if you don't finish it. And for some of these missions as well, there are certain items that quote-unquote, it gives you that you should be able to bring back to your normal save if you don't use it. For example, in this number 17, Titan, as it's called, which they ran almost a month ago now, back probably towards the middle to the end of November, where it gave you for one of the mission rewards 500 pieces of, oh, I forget what that item is. It's like, it's a crafting material. It was, at the time, kind of foolish to give it out and then not allow them to use it for anything. It just defeated the purpose. So let me see if I can find it. Yes, lithium. They didn't give you any of the basalt or any of the quartzite or active quartzite that they gave you for mission rewards. It said, mission reward items cannot be transferred over. The Void Molt 2, though as you can see I have fully discovered them all now. Oh, they also gave you about 500 to 1,000 of crystallized helium, which you couldn't migrate over. Pointless. Now, as you can see, I've gone for a long time running this same save throughout all of the expeditions I gain access to, and all of the other stuff that I just run around and do every now and then. For example, this is your station override key indicator right here, which in this file I don't have access to right now because this character hasn't seen one. I myself know that's what it is because I've had multiple characters which I've run practically years through. That's another reason why I don't have access to my original, what you want to call it, access to that one particular expedition rewards. The one down here. Because I completed that, but it glitched out on me when I finished it the second time. And my entire save file for that character that had access to it corrupted. And I had to migrate the save from a previous save file to just before I had finished it. And it said, well, the thing is over, can't complete it. So it basically boned me out of it, to be polite about it. I was going to say the alternative word, but I'm going to try and be polite about it. Though I know I shouldn't be. But yes, as you can see, most of my stuff has been ongoing, slowly creeping its way up further and further. Now, as you can also see, this is, up here in the corner here, is my total units, which is one of the in-game currency. That is referred to as 1.1 billion 738,288 units. And I will tell you, through all of my reruns of these, especially Adrift, one of my more favorited ones of these expeditions, I also liked Cartographers, and I can't argue that this one was pretty good too. It was amusing when it came. The very first time I completed this, I've completed this like 4 times just for the sake of units and doing stuff again. Re-upping on the save file just so it has the new memory. Is practically just because it gives you a crap ton of units at the end of it. No matter how many times you complete it, I think overall, if I had to count between the 3 times I've completed it, I would say I'm close to about 200 million from just this one alone. I was also, as I'm sitting here now, in the process of completing a new base. Now, there is a certain glitch I am currently going to show you that wasn't here in the previous updates. As I'm climbing up, slowly as I reach the top, as you can see, it just throws me straight onto the roof. Though I still have access to the collect all plants, as you can see, there is no way up or back down the ladder. And you just seen me run all the way inside to run all the way up the ladder. And as soon as I reach the top, I'm back on the roof. That's practically only with this part of the thing too. Because it works, all of those work fine on the freighters and things now. But otherwise, any planetary ones of those don't work. You could spend hours upon hours just simply sitting there and being like, okay, well, why the heck can't I go into it on the other side of things, or the inside of it? Because that's what you're supposed to be able to do. Nope. As you saw, it just launches me straight up onto the roof. I was in the process of re-upping on a new base. Actually, I want that on the other side. Because over here, I would like one of these. Almost enough to make a room.
Technology recharge.
But yeah, life gets easier and it gets more difficult. And then rerunning all these expeditions just seems to be kind of pointless when you look at it right now. Because, like I said, every time I've gotten on the past dozen or so expeditions, it's like, okay, so do you want to keep rerunning the same 4 frickin' I got distracted by trying to keep myself from falling to an untimely death right there. So, though I really wouldn't die that easily, but I mean, can't be too prepared when it's glitching out like it is. Because yes, as you can see, the roof issue is clearly a glitch. And you may wonder why I don't just throw up another door on a platform or whatever over there. It's because even if I wanted to, that is all practically one unit itself. There's no right or wrong way to get off the ladder on the inside of that. And frankly, I'd rather not have to if I don't. Because for me, I like to just say, oh hey, if I want to go in this other side of the building, I just walk in and find out. So I will spend plenty of time just trying to build up whatever I fucking need to in order to avoid such things. There. And yes, you may wonder what other things have been updated. Well, let me put it this way. You have these strange, what you would call installable things into your in all places. Not just the characters, slots, but all of them. The ship, freighter, multi-tool, and you even have some weird new stranger ones like this. As you can see, you need activated quartzite in order to, well, complete this specific item, and you need crystallized helium, which, had I been able to migrate what I was supposed to in one of my previous expeditions, I'd have had that done. But every time I've tried to expedite that stuff, it keeps telling me it's locked behind some unknown mechanism saying it's a mission given item, when even in the former update, or the expedition there, the ones that came after Titan, it still did that, and it wasn't supposed to. For example, in Relics, I went and harvested over 1,000 units of lithium, crystallized helium, and freaking activated quartzite. And it was all from planets that I've just been going around place to place to. And it still said it was a mission given item when it all wasn't. Even this one, when I did it the last time, because I've done this like 4 times already in the past year, this one is way too common. Yes, I'm grumpy about it. Very grumpy. Even when I got it from this, it still locked it and wouldn't let me frickin' migrate it over. And I would spend hours upon hours of spare time once I had finished all of the mission requirements for each and every single mission to be done in order to go find planets and stuff along the way, just to get the crystallized helium, the what you want to call it, the other stuff as well. All of it locked. This is a mission given item, and I had just finished harvesting it from the fucking ground not even 20 minutes earlier. None of the missions as I went through would give it either, and I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do? You could spend hours looking for a planetary system to which should give you all of these items. As you can see, that one gives you quartzite. That one gives you quartzite. That one gives you quartzite. This one gives you active quartzite, lithium, and salt. Yes, I named that yesterday because someone else tried to rename it something that it wasn't, so... And being that I discovered it, I had the rights to name it. Someone else had named it MUMLMMM or whatever, which makes no sense to me at all. If it makes sense to you, feel free to leave it in the comments. So I'm like, what the fuck did someone else try to write on here? Pardon my language. My bad French. But yeah, out of... Well, let's just count and see first. So here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, first off, of the most recent places I've traveled to. Yes, that's just the recent ones. That's not including all of the ones that took me to get to that one. And I would travel to these ones, and I would spend over like 4 hours just trying to harvest them. And as you can see, 2 weeks ago, this was discovered by whom? Hello Games. The sad thing is, this was one of those places you go to during the expedition that it wouldn't allow you to get anything from. And this one, same thing. You could spend hours looking for everything on the planet, and whilst you're doing, get swarms of the quartzites and the other items. And it basically said, nope, you can't have any of it. This, during the expedition, you had to go from each of these little fricking planets, moons, in order to complete one of the various missions. That one mission being survey all of the moons of a gas giant. And it would practically start you right here on this gas giant. And you'd have to go boing, 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 boing. And the sad thing is, it would take someone fucking days to do just that. This, once upon a time, was where you had to, like, space jump. Or not space jump, go into your Corvette and walk out into space off the platform and just fly right into a black hole. Oh yeah, I remember that all too well. Another one of those gas giant ones. Only funny thing is, this one is blue. The other one was green. Let me go back. One more. Green. Now we jump ahead one more. Blue. Same mission, same exact, same thing. 100% the exact same thing. That's pretty much what, anytime you see this, is it's probably going to have one of two things. You're either finding something specific on one of these many little things, or you're going to all of them just to do a quick survey. You stop on one planet, you look at something, you get on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. That's all it is. And you notice during most of those trips, you're only seeing one every so often that has active quartzite on it, or lithium. And when it gives it to you, that's the most of it you'll ever probably see anywhere. Now let's just scroll back through and see how many others of those galaxies that there are. I scrolled over how many pages? Let's see. Going back now. This is from here. We're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 6 entire pages of planetary records in order to find one of the many others of those same galaxies I've already traveled to. This one, I didn't even bother to go to them all. I didn't have to. I just so happened to cross paths with it and not know it. Until now. Because it'll do that to you. It'll tell you, oh, this is where all this stuff is. And you will go looking for that for hours at a time. And you will never find them without one of those many annoying little extras I was talking about. For example, the living ships can go there without issue. They have no, drive alternatives. You just put these in there and you're good to go wherever you want to. Now, that's not to say all those ships are like that, or all ships are. But let me just show you something else that's important to know. This, as you can see, that's the kind of drive you need to find those starships, those planetary systems. Do you want to know the sad thing is? You can only get that if you take it off your starship in the expedition and migrate it over. The reason that's important is because if you try to migrate the whole ship over, it don't work. I've tried that 101 times. It don't work. So I would have to go in to my ship. I would have to hit the triangle button to store the technology, and then go all the way with that to the space anomaly to just get it to migrate that over so I could find them. You know how annoying that is? It is so annoying that annoying isn't even good enough to describe it. And I will just show you what I mean by going to the space anomaly, where I have to initiate each of these new or rerun content. Hang on, I can barely hear myself think. Okay, so I have to... where is it? Oh, great. It's out of balance. For some reason my audio likes to spike between game or headset chat communications or what have you lately. No idea why. It just does. However, I will just go and show you what I mean when it comes to this. So, anytime I do one of these expeditions after the very first one, I have to come over to this terminal, hit the little thing to get into it. As you can see, they are again, as I told you, running the Expedition 19 Redux Corvette again. Now, I'm just going to hit select equipment. It doesn't do anything unless I hit start. But like I was saying earlier, anything you put in here, if you do not complete this to where you can take it back out again, it's lost. You don't get it back. You do not get refunded. You do not pass go to collect 200 Monopoly money. Now, in addition to the items, you also do not get back any modules you put in unless you complete it. But, as I was saying in my current, my current description of what I was doing, for example, I had to go into, while in the expedition, take the mod off the ship, carry it with me or put it wherever. When I go finally get it done, I have to put it in this selection right here like this. Finish and finalize my selection and all that, and end the expedition in order to get anything out of it back into the normal state. But when I would do that for the lithium and all that stuff, it would not allow me, and it would say these items are quest-locked materials. And I'm like, you gave them to me as a quest reward. I should be able to move them to my normal save, regardless of which one it was. Now, I do have to omit only one of those expeditions for such a problem. Which one I have to omit from it is probably already been well noticed. I keep hovering over this one. This one I completed twice. Each time I only managed to get about 25, maybe 50 of each of those items. And I am still able to migrate it over. It's the only one. I've tried it here. I've tried it here. I've tried it during this one. No dice. I've tried it during the Cursed. Again, no dice. They reran Aquarius. I tried that. No go. So yeah, I have to bring that up as an update for those. I will be right back because I have to use the restroom quick. I am back. Now, some of these issues have, well, not really some issues. A lot of the issues during some of these events tend to be caused by a couple of different things. Usually, if for any reason it tends to happen around mainly the Dreams of the Deep, or it happens around, like, for example, what else? The Atlas, or it'll happen around, not so much those, but the, what was that thing? There's one other thing that it happens around a lot. Not those. It'll happen more or less when you try to assemble these into a full, like, say, skeletal structure. I think I have a few of them. Oh, no, it doesn't categorize them like that. Okay. Let's see, does it do have it under treasures? No, it don't. So when you try to assemble the skeletons, say, for example, in the one expedition bones, or I think it's called relics. Yes, relics. Under relics, it'll glitch out a lot. In most cases, it's usually the portals that often do it. Because the moment you step through the portal, you'll see it glitch out from time to time, or you'll see an audio situation, or you'll see it say, you have a new tech display or whatever, and it'll have a very glitchy looking picture. That's common. It's not just a random event that happens practically once every 4 or 5 dozen portal uses. I know, I've used a lot of portals. Excuse me. Now, for example, in this area, as you can see, I've already discovered the one planet I was on a minute ago. I think I'm still on it. Nope. Alright. That's just one of those things. You look at it, you see it, you know. You think you're there still, and you're not. Yeah, I used to have access to all these until, like I said, I started the second run, or second or third time through, and it just straight up said, nope, you didn't finish, you don't get any of them. And it relocked all of those on me. And I had only gone back through just for extra credits and things. Instead, no, I lost all of it. Which I fucking hated. I was so frustrated. Especially after... which one was it? After I had spent so long trying to get this one reopened. To get anything to do with the entire Phase 12 or Expedition 12 completed again, I was so pissed. So pissed. And the sad thing is, they've not run it since. So until they rerun those older ones, for example, Pioneer and or 12, I have sat here and done nothing but, when I'm playing this game, anytime I see a glitch or a bug or a problem, I've gone through and I have meticulously found every nook and cranny, every little detail about it. And I've sent them such a thorough, detailed report to them over it. And one time, I even caught one of their devs being a jerk on the space anomaly at the end of one of them. And I know it was because every time I looked at him, his name was changing. Or, yeah, you know, he might have been a hacker, but everyone thought that at first, until he did something that 9 out of 10 other hackers couldn't do. He pulled up his little, what you want to call it, exocraft thing, and summoned it right here in the frickin' entryway, driven it around like a crazy person, running people over with this exact one. He would pull up his little pilgrim exocraft, like spawn it over there, be bolting around the entire inside of the place, glitching it, slowing it down, making it impossible for anybody to actually stay and use any of the features here during, I forget which one it was. Off the top of my head, I think it was... which expedition? It was the last time I can remember them running exobiology. There was another time I saw a similar venture when they had redone this Liquidators one recently. It's like every other set that they rerun, someone tries to do that. It's sick. It's demented. And yet, half the time, it still happens. And I've asked multiple hackers that I know of if they've ever heard of anyone being able to do that in a game like this. Most of them say no, it's usually someone on the inside. Because you have to basically have access to the game's codes and files in order to actually get that to function right. And 9 out of 10 hackers don't usually have an open all-access pass scenario to do that. Because I think if you have access to this, the codes here, I think is what I was told, or was looking for at one point, I can't remember, it's been a while. But I was told if you had access to the codes for the Space Anomaly, you basically had access to the entire game's features online and everything. Which would basically be a game break. I don't know how true that is. I just know what I've seen, I know what I've reported, and I know exactly how annoyed I became. Because, especially for that one expedition, I spent so much time just slowly creeping in there, trying to get to that specific end of that run. And I was sitting there waiting for it to finish, and then as soon as it had finished and I could finally turn it in, it says, oops, thing over, no longer available. I was pissed. I still am. I still never heard back on that. Still never got refunded for all the time loss. And I want you to be aware, every time they've tried to run that, before that, it was every time. I don't think there was a time that someone didn't do that when they ran that expedition. It fucking sucked. It really did. It was basically a middle finger to everybody who's ever played the game at all. It was like, oh hey, you wanted to try to finish this? Well, here you go, middle finger. Right now, I am sitting at the 13th or 14th galaxy. I think. I lost count after 12. By the way. I could always go back and guess, but truth be told, I didn't actually hit all of the original 13 galaxies. It jumped me around a lot. As you can see, this character started in this specific galaxy. The breakdown goes the oldest visited galaxy to the newest one. The newest one's always at the top. go. Euclid is the first one. I don't think that's the second one, but it might be. I doubt it. As you can see, I jumped from this one to this one, and then from that one back to the first one to continue traveling through it. Then we go back. Fourth. Spend forever and a day building bases in the first one. I forget why I went back to the first place and spent so long there. I really did. I was like, why am I going through the first galaxy for ages and ages and ages and ages? Still thinking about it, I still don't have an answer. There's another one, so that's 3 different galaxies. I've really lost count on which one's which. I know the Euclid is the first one, and then the way I did the Atlas, it skyrocketed me to several different galaxies. And when I say galaxies, I mean through the galaxy core, all the way to a different galaxy entirely. Yes, there is a way to have that happen. Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? If you know what you're looking for, anything is likely. Or if you just so happen to randomly guess it right. There's another, that's like the 5th different galaxy. Ecliptus. There's the 6th one. Yeah, I basically jumped through a lot of different galaxies on my way to where we are now. Ooh, excuse me. Mainly just back and forth from the first one to the one we're in. Vice versa. But mainly that's just because I didn't know where the hell I was. Because you get off for a little while, you lose where you are progress-wise, and you just start jumping until you're like, oh hey, that's different. So yeah, it's usually about how it goes. Now, I can say I have been to all of the original 11 to 13 different galaxies at least once. I've been to so many planets and galaxies that I'm sure because of how many times I've gone back and forth, it's already removed all of them from my catalog here. Because yes, eventually you will discover so many jumping from galaxy core to galaxy core that it can't keep track of them all on your little radar sheet here half the time. Ones will disappear that you thought you had, ones will reappear that you didn't know you had, and then so on and so forth. It goes one place to another, to another, to another, to another. Always. All of the purple stellars, as you can see, there's only a handful of them. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24 out of, I can't even begin to guess. Twice as many blues. Almost, if not a little bit more, to the greens. Reds, forget about it. And, well, These are abandoned ones, too. They don't have any life forms in them, usually. Out of all of them so far, we've seen only, well, that's the third one out of them. 3 of them have a connection to the Vulkane. 3, 4... Four of them are connected to the Korvox. 1, 3, 4. Most of them are connected to the Gex that we visited. All of them are empty though, abandoned, have no connection. Now that's just a dozen out of the countless places we've been. Literal countless planet systems. Little planetary systems, little inhabited outposts or not inhabited. We've only encountered no more than a dozen purple stellar systems. Just over a dozen. And we've seen about 24 reds. Almost a dozen greens that it has currently cataloged. That's not saying there aren't more, but those are the ones it's listed. And let's just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 pages of currently recorded planetary systems throughout all galaxies that we've currently got listed again on here. It's not perfect, but it's at least up to date. That's how much of an inconsistency that there is on these. And if you don't ever find one, you won't even know how useful those items are. Ever. And I've only come across a little more than a dozen of them. And my total average playtime on this file alone is practically over 200 and some odd hours. Just this character. That's not including my previous character, my other dozen of characters that I lost complete and utter knowledge on what the heck I was doing with them. And so on. Literally. Yeah, that's their newest thing for these two. They had to update some things too. And that's just for a few things. That's not including all of the recipes that they removed. That's not including all of the things that they had to change. That's solely just them adding to the game to make it as what it should be. Or what as people were expecting to when they originally released it. Though, gradually, this is the right way to make a video game, is to release something just so people get interested in it and you start building onto it. This is the right way to make a game. It's a constant work in progress. It's constantly being updated. It's constantly needing fixes. And that's why I like this. I don't really want to see a continuation. No. I like this one the way it is. Minus some of the strange things. Minus some of the issues with other people who play the game. I like it the way it is. I don't need 101 stupid little glitchy changes or change to someone who thinks, oh, well, we could make this completely different in a new game. We don't want different. We don't want anything, extraordinary. We just want what we've got to work and to be as decent to everybody as possible. There's room to grow here still. Plenty of room. You could throw more freighter items in there. You could throw more technology in there. You could throw more plant life in there. Hell, I know you've already thrown a few decorative things in there. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you could still throw more in there. Hell, you could throw, buildable custom portals. You could build, have it be, genetically modified inbred plants by the player. If you really wanted to. You could throw essence extractors. You could throw different types of generators. Different types of power cells. You could make these buttons actually worth using and work. Because all these switches, you have them, they just don't do anything. I've hooked them up each and every way you could possibly think of and they don't work. Now, the freighter, phenomenal. But there is room for improvement. Because these only allow for so much mobility. They only allow for so much compatibility with each other. For example, if I wanted to build one of these cultivation chambers, I could build it on one of these technology rooms, but the floor differential is terrible. It's like these floors are 100 feet taller than these ones, and these ones are 200 feet shorter than the refiner floors. It's a terrible difference, and it shouldn't be. And half of these decorations, they're cool to look at, but they could be functional a little more than they are. These chairs, they only spin when you place them down. Some places you get to sit on them, actually. Other places, you don't even get that luxury. They're just wall decorative. They don't do anything. For example, you can make these light monitors in an update project different messages or actually use them to create, 101 other side things that could potentially make the game 10 times more fun. This light table, hell, a little more tweaking and you could make the weird walker robot with a hologram from Star Wars. Not saying you would, for particular reasons, copyright and all that, but you get where I'm getting at, because you already have holographic globes, and you already have pocket reality generators where you can look at a planetary system if you wanted. Use your brains a little bit and make it just a little more functional. Make it maybe a pocket portal generator that you can place on a planet. Or this mud hut, you could make it in certain areas become a moving fortress. or a moving player house. That's what I thought it was at first. When I first saw it, sorely disappointed there. And this, absolutely adore it. But it'd be nice if you could actually, I don't know, use it for a functional purpose. And this, great idea in theory, but in everywhere I've tried to use that for something more practical, because it's supposed to allow you to have a boundary, quote unquote. It's supposed to allow you not to be attacked by anomalous enemies or anything. But you're supposed to be able to use these for more of a functional matter, I would say. Sad thing is, when I put it in one of my settlements, it does absolutely nothing to the anomalous enemies like the biological ores and things. When it should. There are some things I'm still looking for that I don't have. And I once had all of these. That's the other thing I didn't like, when most of my progress was taken from me. I had to then go and recover these for Quicksilver. When, at one point, I could just plant them down at will without thinking about it. I wanted a statue here. There it was. I had all of them at one point. And because they changed and tweaked so much, and they boned me on my certain particular expeditions, I don't have them anymore. I have to go and unlock them again and again and again. This is the second to third time in my entire time playing the game that I've had over 1 million or over 1 billion units. I've done it more times than I care to count. Each time something else has happened. Each time I have lost all my progress because of something unknown, unaware, anomalous, and I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of it. I like when I have 101 things to go and try to get that actually do something. Sure, the decorations of these things are cool, but practicality over versatility is the matter in which I am coming up with. Because once upon a time, I had all these unlocked. I have only recently unlocked all of these again. And again, I'm spending either Quicksilver or I'm spending dozens upon dozens of those cursed little salvaged data modules to get them. Hours and hours of gameplay to find enough to unlock one, if you're lucky, of any of these items. When once upon a time, it wasn't so much. It wasn't that terrible. I get you're trying to expand the gameplay variety, but it doesn't have to be that way. It shouldn't take locking everyone else's progress over and over again to gain access to the newest and latest things, to make someone have to rework through everything they already did to get to the new stuff. It just pisses people off. There are times I just want to get on the game and build with everything I can. Anything I can. There are times I just want to run across the planet gathering resources. And I can't do that because half this stuff requires having something unlocked that requires it. Or it's running into the thing before you can unlock half a dozen of things. that once were practically open and accessible the whole time. And it sucks having to go through, re-unlock this, re-unlock that, re-unlock this, or this. All this spent, I can look at each one of these and say how much time I have wasted to getting the things to unlock each of one of these. That's like 10. Oh, now it's even recorded as 2. Well, once upon a time, I spent 10 on those. Each of them. See, that's another annoying thing. Anytime they lower the cost of something, you don't get refunded them. You get screwed over on it. That's my biggest bone to pick. Is because now they've updated all these after I've spent dozens of hours getting those modules to unlock them when they were far more expensive, far more excessive. And it downplays it. And it annoys me. It frustrates me so much because I can remember when I spent 5 on that. And I did. Believe you me. Because at one point, I had a whole freaking storage unit like this one filled with those things. Filled to the brim with those salvage data mods. Oh yeah, believe you me. As you can see, I avidly collect thousands and thousands of these things all day long. That, and that's all I got from the one expedition. That's it. As I said, not much. Not the amount I should have, for sure. Can I do anything about it? I complained. I sent record reports and all in. I got nothing out of it. I basically got screwed over twice. For each one of them. And though I like this game, I like this particular form of the game. Oh, excuse me. Especially now. Because as you're about to see, I go to the extreme. I will sit here and make farms of items, as you can see, in order to get to the point where anytime I need some, I already have it. If I can get it. If I can't, I'll find a way. That's just what I do. When I play a game, I sit there and I play it till the extreme comes out. Especially if it requires building things like this. And I'll show you why it's so important. Because as you're seeing, the numbers of things I'm getting isn't all that low, but it's not all that high either. It's actually fairly modest. At least in the game, sense of the game. All that took me less than 20 seconds to harvest it all, but it took me 40 hours just to build this one room. Gathering resources. And it's not the only one of its kind. This one took me way less time once I built the other one, because the first one literally gave me all the resources to build this one. It took like 3 days, but real life days, not in-game days, real life. Because the thing about these plants, once you harvest them, It doesn't go by an internal game clock at all. It goes by a real life. For example, 3 hours till that one particular plant regrows in 3 hours. Some of these, 15 hours. You begin to understand what's the problem when you see how much effort goes in and what you actually get out of it. All this is just for another couple of items that I may or not even need right now. The last character I had, the total unit value I had on that character before it crashed was almost 1,150,000,000 and several 100,000 odd credits. Units. And I got basically F out of all of it. Whether it's the way the game was made or not, I have no idea. Whether or not it's the glitches the one person was doing that screwed my entire thing over, I don't know. But what I do know is I hate having to redo everything 101 times over. I do. And every time I get to just such a point, somewhere, whether it's the devs or not, it feels as though somebody is just trying to piss me off. Because no matter how many times I go through and I play the game over and over again, there's something that tends to annoy me and tries to constantly. And to what point and purpose? I am left wondering and speechless on time and time again. And it sucks. All this took me less than 5 minutes to reach. After about, I want to say 4 to 5 days. Just gathering resources from the other 2 rooms. This took me less than a few minutes to build. The sad thing is, I didn't even do it for the resources. I built it because, well, A, I needed to bolster what I was receiving for the price I paid for it. And at the time, before I built this room, I wasn't getting that. And I'll show you why in just a minute. But as you can see, getting hundreds upon hundreds of units worth of stuff. As you can see, silver is quite common. The other thing I can grow, oxygen, not so much though. There's like per every 35 units of oxygen, there's billions upon billions of units of the other stuff. And it's almost impossible to figure out why. For example, another way this can be expanded on is you can add a plant that gives oxygen when you harvest it as a growable. Because, truth be told, when these are fully grown, even now, it looks like an oxygen plant. Just saying. This is practically what all of the oxygen plants look like in a more larger form. Half the time I'm on the planet, I'm looking for stuff that looks almost identical to this planet. Because it is just so hard to come by. And you can build little tools and things for that to do so, but it's just not worth it. Hell, it's not worth having to go through all the effort of getting the farmer to unlock all these for you when you can go and unlock them yourselves, A. B, when all of these are mainly just to build items that will allow you to get more units. For example, as you can see, here's all the stuff we harvested practically. Now watch how quickly all that stuff disappears. Because right now we're trying to build stuff. There's a circuit board. Quantum processor. Quantum processor becomes status device, or it becomes one of these. Acid. Gone. And you're left with two of these. Nine. We have room for 80. And that's just what we just harvested, mind you. I'm just coming to a point on things. That's not including all of the effort it takes to get some of these items that you can't get. Living glass. That has multiple uses. Well, not really multiple uses in that sense, but in the sense that you can use it to make multiple items. It takes one living glass to make a cryo chamber. Or it takes one living glass to make, where is it? Mind Arc. Oh, and now they've changed that so it's cheaper. It used to be, instead of glass, it's a living glass. I know, I saw that when it first came on there. I was like, living glass? Where the f am I supposed to get one of those? Now they've changed it. Which really pisses me off even more. Because the fact that now that they're changing all the recipes and such, it's fucking stupid. Because there are some recipes you used to be able to make when you couldn't find them. And it's just like, why would you go and do that? Why would you go and ruin 101 different items and objects we used to have and people would go seeking for just in order to avoid having bad files or something? And why would you sit there and screw your entire gaming community over half the time with your petty games and petty little problems that you try to cause during events that you yourself made? And half the shit, it's practically a YouTube sensation. And I'm just sitting here wondering. And I'm still wondering to this day. Because half that stuff is somewhere in their file system on that. Now I will show you what the things I can't use are valued at. I will tell you, these I haven't even begun to scratch the surface with yet. Because even this is near impossible to get. Pretty much. I've sat by gas giants for hours, days, even, waiting for them to collect a single one. And it wouldn't collect even one. It would collect nitrogen, phosphorus, any number of different things, but not a lick of the methane. Just 5 of those is worth that much.
Units received.
13 of those is that much here.
Units received. Units received.
That's minus 10% right there.
Units received.
That's minus a little bit, but not too much less than normal.
Units received.
And to this day, I've never heard a lick about any of it. Not one. I'm still trying to rebuild what I used to have long ago, and managing to do that and more over time. You used to not be able to build 2 layers of those planter materials. You usually got 1, and that's when stuff started to break. I remember that. I remember what the old planetary stations looked like before they changed to what they are now. It's not what they make it out to be. And in truth, it's just sad. It really is. It's frustrating because, you know, sometimes there are some things that worked and there's some things that didn't. But most of the time, you shouldn't try to sit there and give your player base the middle finger, no matter what you look at it as. Because it's just not worth it. Because if you don't have a player base, you don't have anything. That's really all it comes down to. Yeah, I've almost got the full tech tree on this again. I basically have this whole tech tree. I ain't too worried about these, to be honest. I have the full color wheel open again. I'm just missing the 12 of these right now as well. I've already got 4. I mean, these might be something I do for fun later. Yeah. This is basically at maximum for what I can have. And it's truly, utterly sad. As you can see, some of them are glitching out even. Because it's not supposed to have these empty. It's just like it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. As you can see, one of those spaces in all of them is supposed to be chromatic now. And there's another one filled in. last one's supposed to be right on. I have so many of these, it's there for one purpose. One purpose only. The constant flow of those materials. Though the chromatic metal I have other ways of getting. Basically, that's all this is a giant cash grab right now. Which I'm not complaining about that. I'd just sooner rather it be functional, A. B, as I'm sure you've probably noticed, the floor, as I mentioned earlier, is extremely difficult to maneuver half the time. This is the planting floor versus the stellar extractor cores. 10-foot drop between the two. And the sad thing is, these, without this one floor in between, would look the same as the difference between those two floors to these floors, as far as I've ever seen. As you can see, between the fleet command stations and the reactor floors and things, it's the same. All the way around. Ooh, excuse me. Now you can put these all on the same floor. Doesn't make any sense. These, if you get them lucky enough to build them, they do help. But they're so expensive for materials. It's like, why did I even bother to try and build them? Because it's just like, Andrew, what am I doing? This and that, as you can see, are also on different levels. Now this is fully discovered. There's one with basalt on it, though it'll take you forever and a day to find any of it. I put one of those in here, make sure I can always have access to my vehicles whilst on the planets. Not like you can only use them or should be able to use them anywhere else. But as you can see, for all of these that I do have, I'm still only getting precious minimum materials. Which means I have to build a ton more of them in order to make enough materials, in order to be able to use them. Really defeats the purpose of it. Because let me just show you how much one of those costs too. Specialist rooms. Yeah, this one requires warp terminals too. Stellar extractor room. Nope, that's what I'm standing on right now. Let's just show you. As you can see from this diagram, it builds the room. Builds the item inside, but it doesn't give it a door. This is my recent escapade to make these work well enough to where I can make it from point A to B wherever I have a hook to in seconds. So all I need to do in order to get from point A to B is go through a portal, which I'm saying is pretty good. Though it's only short range, meaning you can't go across the planet with one. Not like you could build them on a planet anyway, but Those are a great time saver, though. These, even some of these recipes have been changed and altered. There used to be just this page, and it would take you hours to find a single combination. And all of these are basically either 1 or 2 recipe things. Now, the sad thing about all that is, one of these items... Hang on, I'll just show you what we've got first. I practically found almost all of the 2 singular ones. That's the first 3 that we've ever gotten. I will tell you why. It only shows it that way because that's the only one we've randomly discovered. All this was trial and error. Basically, one thing at a time. And there's plenty still left undiscovered. Why that's important? Because even in here there's stuff missing. Stuff we haven't yet found for whatever reason. Despite having looked at every possible thing in here. Yeah, we even have recipes for making that work. That's why I said I had other ways of getting chromatic metal and making these from it. As you can see, there's a recipe here we don't have. There's one here we don't have. That's really it. These, no idea. The reason I say the weird thing about it is we practically have all the 2 recipes, and yet anytime we've tried to combine anything in here, it doesn't do any good. Now you see where we got that one from. Well, let's put this in here. That's one that doesn't work, but... And I would be like this for hours. Sitting here like, well, what else can I put in here? What else have I not put in here? Right down the line, I've only discovered 2 items that I've never used out of all of them. And no matter how many times I've gone and looked for those items, I can never find them. Not one. Not an ounce of crystallized helium, not an ounce of lithium. Okay, well, technically there's 4. Lithium, crystallized helium, quartzite, active quartzite. And it's not that I don't go out and look for them, it's just no matter how hard I look, I never find it. Even if I could, I don't think there's anything I get out of 2 of them. And I'm just going to do that now to finish proving the point. As far as I've ever seen, these don't get nothing out of it. I don't even think they count in here as part of it. They don't. Those do not act. And that's the shame of it all. My companion roster. As you can see, it's pretty open actually. Still room for improvement here. But as you go along, 20, this 20 will become 40 when I open this one. That 40 will then go to 60 when I open this one. So on and so forth. Oh, this page was 10. No, from here over was 10. And that's nanite clusters, not units. Nanite clusters, the second most used currency. Now the fastest burning currency is the one you oftentimes have the lowest chance of getting, which is Quicksilver. Lowest, by all means. You have a better chance of grabbing a boatload of this than you do getting any nanites or Quicksilver. It's just the way it is. And it sucks. Yeah, it does. There's not much one can do about it either. There used to be a lot more one could do about it, but as the developers go through and destroy everything that used to be and makes a way for something newer that doesn't work all that well, only thing you can really do is ask, why? It really just proves the point that most of those game creators seem to not care about their fan base. Though I can say with some clarity that Hello Games kinda does. Especially when they hear enough complaints about it, but ultimately they don't seem very proactive in fixing anything. They really don't. Which is quite shameful, because if they were more proactive at fixing the problems, I'm sure there would be no real reason to make a second game, as the talk has been. A couple of friends of mine have been saying, oh, they're talking about making a second No Man's Sky. I'm like, you don't need a second one. You just need to fix the first one. Oh. This game has tons of potential. Tons. And lately, they've straight up missed that. Or they're attempting not to see it, in hopes of putting forth more effort towards making a new one, only to realize that when they make the new one, it's just gonna suck. They're gonna end up doing it wrong, probably, and just using the mistakes from the first one, and watch their entire world crumble before their very eyes. It's happened, we've seen it before. And I'm bringing up a very important topic on that too. For you see, the game I'm talking about in reference to that retrospect is Fallout 76. Oh yeah, that complete and utter heckfest to begin with. Fanbase given the middle finger 101 times. Constant lawsuits, fights, arguments, etc., 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 etc.
Technology recharge.
But I'm bringing that up for a good reason, because That's what seems to be happening a lot lately. That's just the most proactive one that I come to almost every other time. Why? Because there's been, as far as I've ever seen, no worse. I've seen better flops, and I've seen worse ones. For example, the worst I've seen is where someone sets up a good game series and then lets it dry out. Literally just stops doing anything, disappears off the face of the earth. And when I say that, I'm referring to, for example, the Mercenaries series. 1, loved it. Playground of Destruction, absolutely. As you read it, you know it. You can do it. World at War, beautiful game. Beautiful. And then, at the end of the second one, they set you up for the fact that it looks like they're going to make a third one. And the game, if you really get into it, you play through it enough that you're like, yes, make a third one. I want to see where it goes from here. And then it just straight up dies, disappears, gone. And yes, demographics change, people change, etc. But that still leaves that vacant plot twist as the last sour taste in someone's mouth. The end of the second one, they leave you on such a cliffhanger that it's just like, come on, make the next one. That cliffhanger being everyone's sitting around, I think on either a boat or a deck of a patio or something, and the one person pulls up a computer and says, where are we going next? That's basically the end of it all. And then you just go through blowing shit up every 5 minutes. And finishing the stuff you didn't finish. Or you skip over some missions or something. And, truth be told, that's okay too. But the downside of that is it still leaves you with that hole of where is it going from there? Is that really it? That's probably the worst way you can drop everything on somebody. The worst way. And because you're like sitting there, alright, what's the next chapter? Where's the next part of the story? There isn't one. Now, I've seen better flops as well. For example, the way Kingdom Hearts 3 ended, I hated it. I hated it to such a point that I didn't care to wonder where the story went to after. Because you know what? All of that was so hastily written, so almost unethical in comparison to the first two. One was an absolute dream. I spent years playing the first one. 2, that was part of my childhood right there. 358 days over 2, absolutely perfect. Sad, but perfect. Sorry about that. I had a slight interruption. Interesting, like the other letter go. There we go. Must not have been important. As I was saying, in most of those, it's due to lack of funding, time crunches, or some other reason. For like Kingdom Hearts as an example. But it was done so poorly that when someone told me you find out what happens to Roxas, you see Axel and Shion in the other game afterward, I was like, I don't fucking care. And I've been a hardcore player of that since the first time I'd seen it. I'd spend hours yelling and screaming and fighting with the freaking little gummy shift missions on 2 hours on end. I can remember each one of them almost without thinking. The one I hated the most had to probably be the one outside of Hercules Realm and 2 the second time out. I think that's the right one I'm thinking of. Where you had to shoot all the little mechanisms on the team ship that was a giant heartless creature that you had to keep fighting and fighting and fighting. But ultimately, the mechanism for that in 3 is okay. It's just not. Doesn't have that same timeless charm. Some of the little like cutscenes and things for 3 really didn't do it either. For example, Halloween Town. It was almost seemed too hastily written. Very poorly executed and just like, okay, well, what's the point of the other 2 that put so much heart and feeling into it? Just for them to burn it out and get rid of it at the end. And that's the way most of it went. Pirates of the Caribbean, first 2, beautiful. Wouldn't have the heart change any of them. Sure, sometimes they were a little annoying, but it was worth it. This No Man's Sky, as I'm getting back to it now, has one thing that makes it got that timeless feel to it. And I'm sure you can probably guess what that is at this point. It has a timeless, unique factor of its own. It has so many things that whereas there's limitless potential, and yet the only thing that's limiting about it is the fact that the rumors persist that they have to make a second one. And in truth, they don't have to, because look, each one of these is also sort of unique in its own way. This is one of those pirate freighters I took. I used to have a regular one, and then I used to have a Sentinel one before that. And it was like, each one of those is unique. And each of those little things are unique. The living ships are unique, right? There's so much versatility that the only thing limiting about it is the thought process behind it. If your mind is as limited as some of the functions can be, sure, you're gonna burn yourself out on it. if you're as, you know, open-minded, free-spirited, and basically, you know, can just sit here for hours, staring off into the beautiful space, looking at each little star, each little blip on the planetary scale. You can jump from planet to planet, galaxy to galaxy, and you'd still never truly be able to see everything. Because you could spend hours literally almost effortlessly looking, and you'd never truly see all the beauty of it all. You want to play as a pirate? Cool, you can be a pirate. You want to play as the savior of the Gek people? You can do that too. You want to become the enemy of the Vulcane? Go for it. You want to complete all the standings? Again, go for it. You could. Literally, there's practically endless things one could do with these. These are a great way to push people to experiment and experience the alternative. But, you know, you could just sit there and be like, oh, hey, we'll rerun them all. Rerun the first one, rerun the second, the third, the fourth, all of them. Don't just rerun one of these at a time. Rerun this one. If someone hasn't completed it, go for it. If someone wants to rerun it, sure, don't penalize them for not finishing it if they've already finished it at once. You can penalize them if they haven't finished it more than that, if they haven't even finished it the first time. But seriously. This just doesn't, just no. You don't need to make a second game if your first game isn't flawless. That's what I'm getting at right there. If your first game isn't flawless, you've got a long way to go. Because if it's not flawless the first time around, guess what? Second one's going to be even more flawed than the first one, because you're going to play off the faults rather than what works, what doesn't. I've seen it. We've all seen it far too much. And truth be told, when it comes down to it, each person plays differently. Sure, each person can only do so many things at a time. Again, true. No two people are alike. You can spend hours, eons, looking at the same thing and never see the same thing twice. It's really all up to you on how to see where you could change things. And mine are just the simple, notable changes, too. That's not even going into detail on what could and couldn't be changed and altered and, you know, fun, accessible. Again, for another example, why not have an expedition on building a little frigate fleet of all sorts of different things? Why not have a creation on these living... what you want to call it, these living frigates. Like this one, for example. Or something like that, being able to construct your own those, or hell, even personalizing these to look more unique. Because you've done it with the, what you want to call it there, with the Corvettes. Personalized little starships. ideas out there. Now I'll get into the cosmetic things that I'm looking at for annoyances. These unchangeable decorations. Why? It's just cluttered. It's making more space than it needs to. These, perfect. They work. That's what matters. So now let's get into the more, as I said, cosmetics. This colorful wall, what's the point? If you can harvest it, great. Not, it's useless. It's just there as filler. These, like I said, they're limited. Only so much you can do with them. And again, you need more of one thing. In order to fix one thing. So, for example, this door is separate from the thing it's attached to. These are also separate. Each of these is its own unique little thing. Each time I complete another one, I put it up on my wall. Each time. This, okay, great. It's only as limited as it looks. Example, this is only 1/10 of this actual technology tree. These are only 1/10 of all the structures. This was recently added to this because it never used to have this page. Same with this one. It used to have this page, and then a page for those other unique structures things. For example, let me just say it, put it out here. You see buildable technologies again, just to show you. Now, let's go to the structures page. Now it pulls up the salvaged ones, which again are an addition. This is recent. There's so much more you could have done with this. You could have had this actually be functional and act just like the appearance modifier. Or you could have it be your own little droid factory. Limiting how many, maybe. At least you made these sort of functional, though they really don't do much. Benches, great to look at, not functional. Statues, cool decorative, but not really useful. These were good ideas. Store all your other items, your other weapons. Stuff that anywhere you have one, you can access it from. That guy, flawless. Well, flawed, but flawless. These, great idea in theory, but they lag so bad you can't really use them half the time. During the expedition, they work just fine. Once you're out of them, anytime you try to build one, it takes it a minute or two. The longer it's been to finish the thing, the longer it takes to build one. So it seems. Again, multiple things for the same purpose. These all have limited amounts of things that they can do. And these, well, you know how I like these. For example, this could lead to 101 little portals. Or you could use this as just a waypoint for the current galaxy you're in. Show you what you've seen, where you've been. nifty little idea. So you don't have to go looking into your pages for these all the time. Or to see where you are in those either. This could act just like, where is it? Could act just like the signal booster, as well as its primary function, which is numbers, I might add. These could have multiple functions. Refiners. Okay, great. Shouldn't need more than a couple of them to really do any damage. This, I could see a whole lot more potential. Because in most of these, I'm seeing items that have no use. These, sure, great, cool, whatever. What are you going to use those for? These, phenomenal, no changes. This, really? Why? Why would you have something sell junk? Doesn't make sense. Stuff like this. Okay, great. I mean, technically, you know you're gonna get it anyway. It's not like it's not gonna pay you for what you sell to it. There's room, plenty of room for improvements. These, you can only have it hooked to one at a time. It's not like where you can build 4 of them and hook them all to each other and they relay to one another. For example, this one would relay to one over there would relay to one over there, and one over there would relay up there. And on the off occasion you start up there, it'll relay you back here. Sure, limited potential. Only limited by what you think about it. Now, there is one thing I do have to bring up. These, and their corresponding room types for expansions, what is the purpose? These, I see a whole purpose for. The ones next to it, empty spaces. Just to improve what they have in here. Why? Why would you bother? They're already next to stuff that's industrialized, and they're an industrial process. Great. Then, by all means, they should be fine. No, we have to build these separate little room quadrants. They don't serve any purpose. They don't serve anything but taking up space. And yet, in order to get the best, we have to go through those. And by the time you get to getting those, guess what? You've already gone through so much annoyance and headache just getting there. It's like, why did I bother doing that? Now that I have everything, I'm not going to talk to them. And it's for that reason people miss out on the best parts of it all. This wonderful idea could use some improvement. This, another great improvement. Now we have a full squadron of S-classes. I don't disagree with that that potential. Though, honestly, if you could send these each on little individual missions somewhere for something, that'd be an improvement. Sure, they're there to help you when you need them, but truth be told, really, what it would be the cream of the crop is if you could send them individually to go do their own unique little mission to see what they come back with. And they get, unique little benefits. And here, there's plenty of things more you could do. Plenty of things. This is limited, but this is good limited. This, for these decorative, less desirable pieces, why would you even need them? They don't really do anything anyway. A reinforced window. What are you going to need that for? 4 different types of stairwells. Again, what do you need them for? Freighter stairs. Exterior freighter stairs. Freighter glass stairs. And what are you going to need an internal freighter wall for? Or ladder. Ladder's not even functional half the time. When you go fix one of those little frigates that has ladders, they're only going up and down in one spot. It's not like they're there all the time, and half the time those don't even work. You'll get halfway up, it starts to glitch and make you look like you're going down, so you switch your position of your finger to make your character go up, and then they go down anyway. It's just like, if I wanted nonsense, I'd buy nonsense. But if I paid for a game that should work, that's what I'm hoping I get. You know? DLCs? Yes. Microtransactions in a game for DLCs? No. That don't work either. That's a lot like what frickin' Tiny Tina's Wonderland was all about. It was like, it's not even Wonderland, it's crap. It's like, okay, all your best stuff's locked behind $500 more worth of DLC content, which you may have paid for or given to, depending on what type of the game you've got. And guess what? You may have to buy more stuff to get it to function the right way. And it's just like, okay, why did I spend any money at all to get the game that's full of microtransactions? If I'm going to just buy everything anyway, you know, that don't work that way. And in truth, at the end of the day, when it all comes down to it, there's not much really to say. Not much more to say, I should say. Again, these items, what are they here for? Why would you waste units on buying them if they're not gonna do anything to help you? You can't really buy them for much of anything of value. You're just buying them for the sake of having them. And this glitch for this is ridiculous. If I wanted to go and be on the outside of the roof, I'd do what I just did. Just fly up on the outside and land on the roof. If I wanted to climb up through the inside, chances are I probably wanted to stand on the inside of the platform. You know? Food for thought. And that's just some of all the ways they've changed things. Because yes, now you have, for your standard chips, 4 different types of drives in order to get all of the access to all the items. You have the Emerald drive for the Emerald. You have the Cadmium drive to reach the Cadmium planets. You have the Atlantia drives to give you the potential of finding quartzite. And always, as I've looked for these, I haven't found a single place really that has either of them. Even though it says they do. I've never come across much of any of it. And if they're going to make something in the game, they should at least make it accessible in the regular game as well as the editions. And if they're going to give you something in the editions, they should make it so you can take it with you from the editions. Because yeah, having seen all of it before, gone through most of it all before, and as you can see, all the plants have been discovered. But all of the cooking things have not. And it's frankly because of the fact that half of them have some sort of recipe that seems to not exist. And those that do are extremely out of the ordinary. Example, these, though they do have a recipe, it's not visible. I'm sure you figured out what that one comes from. Whispering omelet, whispering eggs. All of these have their own recipe, but all of the recipes are now inaccessible to look at. So they shouldn't be. Half of the recipes you think would make sense and be in the game are also not in the game. Half the ones that don't make any sense are in the game. And it's just like, really? If I wanted to use my jetpack to get up here like this, I would have. Now watch. See, it works that way. Now let me go back up and see if it does it again. No explanation. Thank you all for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed this recent update to No Man's Sky and to show you some, if not most, of the bugs that are presently being the topic of discussion. Thank you, and have a good day.